Horsey, the son of Honor Code, who earned over $2 million in just 11 starts, is here and ready to do business. Horsey is here to do business. Horsey is here to do business. All right, here we go again, man. We got another guest on this platform tonight, and you know what? I thought the other day, I was like, you know what? I need to bring more people from out west on the platform because it's just a must. We have to have those people from out west on the platform where we can introduce them to this audience, to other audiences, so people can know who these guys are. Man, these are people who are working really, really, really hard behind the scenes and doing some outstanding work out west in Canada. And I cannot leave the Western people out. Great people, some good people I've met in the last several months. It's been awesome talking with these guys, and and they deserve for others to hear them and see them, and so people can know exactly what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish. If you're new to this platform and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and let's grow our audience so that we can continue to do some serious work for you guys, man. You know what I mean? Because it's very important that we get the word out there and get the messages and get people to know who all you guys are. Well, my next guest is a son of Barbados. He started as a jockey and turned into a trainer. He's traveled, got lots of interesting stories, and he's here to share it. And you know what? Without any further delay, let's introduce Mr. Steven Gaskin.
Hey.
Hey, welcome to the platform again, man. Second time.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it.
A repeat performance, man. You know, it's been just over a year or so that I had you on the platform. I was brand new into this. And you know what? First time meeting you, that was like over a year ago. But it was awesome the last time we spoke. But here we go again. Hopefully we have improved since that first meeting and make this a lot more interesting for your audience out there, Steven.
Yeah, I've been watching the shows, and I think you're doing a very good job.
I'm trying, man, because you know, the more you practice, the better you get, and I hope I'm getting better.
You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing great.
You know, kind of similar to you, man. You first started training, and I'm pretty sure you had some little kinks. You had to kick them out, and now you sort of on top of your game.
Well, this whole job that we go into is a learning. We learn something new every day. We never stop learning. So, and I'm always willing to learn.
So listen, you started training in 2016, was it?
Yeah, 2016.
2016. 2016 seemed like a long time ago, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But before that, you was a jockey. And I'm always curious about guys who were like a jockey, you know, doing something else and become a trainer. Let's talk about that transition, man. Like, is that a difficult transition or what?
Kind of, in a way, yes, but it's not too hard, and in the sense that for guys that were jockeys and training and have the opportunity to get on the horses themselves and get a feel of them is not the transition isn't that hard, right? But because we know what we want, we know what we're looking for. You know what I mean? And prior to being a trainer, I was an exercise writer for quite a while, and then an assistant trainer. So I mean, like when I became a trainer, it wasn't the transition wasn't that difficult for me, right?
No, we always talk about being a jockey. So being a jockey, most guys who around the horses, they love being a jockey because a jockey is like superstar, in horse racing world, right? And but you don't really have a lot to manage besides riding the horse. You just got to manage yourself. But now, if you're a trainer, you got to manage horses, and you got to figure out grooms and hot walkers and all that stuff. Like, how difficult does that get for you?
Well, if you have good grooms, it makes it very easy, right? If you have guys around you that know what they're doing, and you don't have to be checking behind them all the time, it makes your job quite easy as a trainer. So half of the battle is that having good help, right? Which been a problem over here for the last few years.
What exactly is good help? Please define that.
Well, you need consistency. You need guys that love their job, not just doing it for a paycheck, right? You need grooms that will give you 110%. They love the animals. They love their job. They show up every day. They have an eye for detail. They see certain things that you as a trainer shouldn't miss, but sometimes you could, right? Those guys spend more time with the horses than anyone else, right? And they get to know the horses, and that's what you need. Those type of people that just give 110% to their job and the love for the animal.
Now, have you seen over the years how that has declined, or do you think that? I mean, if you look at horse racing right now, would you say that there's a lot more people like that out there, or is it started to dwindle away and be on the decline?
No, there's a lot of good grooms out there. There's lots of good help, but the problem is like most guys tend to go to spread their wings, to go to the bigger tracks where there's more opportunity. You know what I mean? Like everybody want to, as a groom, which is good to move on to have that champion horse to go places with, right? But we on the smaller tracks, we kind of, I would say, are suffering for help, right? Some guys show up here for 1 year and then they get a taste of woodbine or whatever, and then they just disappear. You don't see them again, which is not a bad thing for those guys, right? They get to rub some really expensive horses. They get their eyes open to the big yard. So I mean, you know,
For you guys out west, man, and for some of the smaller tracks, Woodbine seem to be the cousin that people just can't stand. Uh, you love them, but you just like, oh man, Woodbine. That's the feeling I get when I talk to people
oh
who
no,
train or
like
who work at different tracks.
no, you see things about that, like okay, you're dealing with a different level of or different class of horse though, and you got to work when you're on a totally different level, and you need to have the material to go over there. So it's not a like a bad taste in my mouth for sure about woodbine. It's just that if you're going to go there to compete, you need to have material, right? If you go up there, the purses are good. You want to go over there and win. And if you're going over there with anything that it don't worth it, you know what I mean?
I know because the last time we spoke, I know you told me that you tried over there for a minute or so, and then you decided, both you and your wife, that look, you know what, we heading back west, and we going back, out to Winnipeg, right? And I know that, like you said, like that works for you, but for other guys, they decide, hey, we're gonna keep stabbing away and give it a big shot at the big track. Um, is it getting tough down out there on the prairies? 'Cause. Prairies? 'Cause. 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 '
I wouldn't say that. But when you go back to what you said just now, about when we were in Woodbine, I think that was 2012. I was
Hmm.
galloping there, and my wife was grooming. We had a young. My daughter was, I think, well, she was just a year old. So I mean, like with daycare and accommodation, somewhere to live and all that, it just got a little bit too maybe tough and complicated to maneuver and make things work, scheduling and all of that. So we just decided, what, maybe that wasn't the time. We go back home, and which we did, and then things just take a different direction, and we decide this is what it is, right? We stay here, and her family's here, and we make it. This is where we settle.
You just said something very interesting, Stephen, because at that time you had a small kid, and you, for housing and food and all that stuff, like it just didn't make sense.
It was
And I
expensive.
think that, like, I mean, like, sometimes people miss the point, because if you say, for instance, you're a jockey and you are at a track where you are starving, and you have opportunity to go to a track which is more feasible for you, why wouldn't you take that chance? The same thing as a trainer, or a groom, or anywhere else. What's the difference, right?
This is how I see it. A Canadian dollar is a Canadian dollar, whether it's in West, whether it's in Woodbine, wherever it is. And as for some, like me as a trainer, I mean, to go to Woodbine without the material to just train for their money, which is going to go in expenses and all of that, you can't make anything, because trainers depend on that 10%. We need wins to be paid, right? And just like
Right.
jockeys, they need to win to get paid. I mean, they also, I think they get more money. I don't know how much it is or whatever, but trainers, like, we charge their money per horse, and we also have a lot of expensive. There's fee, there's wages, there's workers' comp, there's all these different things, and um, EI and CPP and all these different things you have to pay into, and that come out of their money, right? So if you're not winning, you're just wasting your time.
Oh, well, now you say that, I was going to ask you, because I knew today I had that very important question that I wanted to ask you, and that was, uh, grooms. Say we're talking about the grooms having good health, right? And now, would it be a good thing if there was an incentive for grooms to stick around? Like, say, for instance, you had healthcare. One of the trainers, assistant trainers, uh, he mentioned that when I was talking to him just a month or two ago, and you say he hoped that, or he wished that, that people had health insurance, and maybe that's an incentive that can keep grooms and workers at the track. Something to look forward to, because waking up at 3:30 in the morning and going to your job is not easy. So some people may say, "Why am I doing this?"
Yeah, I mean, how I would like to put this here is that, I mean, like, yes, it's like benefits that they want and all the stuff and stuff like that, but when you look at it, it's kind of something that maybe the HPPA could get together with the trainers and all of that and figure something out. But for a trainer, like, to do that, and I don't want to sound bad, but it's really hard. I mean, it'd be really hard.
Well, maybe there could be a collective effort. Because I mean, for example, if you're Canadian, obviously you're gonna have health insurance, right? So that shouldn't be an issue, right? Um, but maybe it's different out west. Is it different? I guess OHIP is different. Ontario, so that might be different. So I don't know what you guys have down there, but you know, in Ontario, there's just some health insurance. I'm not sure. Are you guys covered by the province in Winnipeg?
Yeah, we cover by that. Yeah, everybody we have health insurance, and then we have workers comp for the staff.
Oh, okay. So I mean, that I mean, if you're a resident of Manitoba, I'm pretty sure there's something that covers you. But if you're not, you just on a worker's contract or something, I guess that might be different.
Derek. Now you mentioned that, you're right, and I just see what you're talking about. I know when I was on a work permit in Toronto, I had I was covered on the health insurance because of the period of time my work permit was for.
Mhm.
But when you're in Manitoba, it's much shorter, and I think that the work permits are foreign workers aren't here long enough to be eligible for that. I mean, I stand corrected, but I know back then that is what it was, because I couldn't get a health card on my work permit back then. I don't know if changes have been made or whatever, but I know a few years ago we didn't have workers comp on the track until about oh, maybe 5 6 years ago, something like that. Yeah,
So I wonder if that plays a role too with having as you would put it, good help. And people, people are always looking for the best opportunity for themselves, right, and their families.
true.
So that could play a big role. But on the flip side, I always see it as an opportunity for a team to grow together. Say, for instance, you look, if you're in a barn, stable, whatever, it could only be one trainer, right? So if someone plays a role as the groom and you the trainer, then that person may know what they're doing too as a trainer, but they can only be one. It's like a coach and having a team or whatever. So I always see it as an opportunity to grow and grow together. So when your barn starts to grow, they grow too. You get paid. They get paid too. So it's equal opportunity. I'm not sure if everyone sees it that way. How do you see it?
Well, you're right. I mean, like, it's just a team, you know what I mean? And one thing that we did years ago, like we would bonus the grooms. Like, we've been races, whoever look after that horse, they bonus. They get a bonus, right? And that kind of work for us over here to look after the grooms, the gallop riders, and stuff like that. To get something extra on the pay check when, or sometimes the clients come down and they, what you call, grease them hand. You know what I mean? Give them a little something. Yeah. So, but the bottom line is that it goes beyond that. It's like, I can remember years ago, there used to be like probably like 25 to 30 farm workers coming here, grooms and exercise riders here in Manitoba. And I don't know what happened, but for some reason it don't happen anymore. So,
Well, is it possible that the secret came out and everyone decided, hey, look, you know what? There's a bigger pot of gold somewhere else, and it's somewhere in Toronto.
who knows? Maybe that's it. Who knows? I don't know. And
Yeah.
our season are very short too. I mean, like, it's just we start from, well, for grooms and gallopers from March till September, whereas you could go to Toronto and I think it's February to December. So your downtime is like probably 2 months. Well, ours is way longer than that.
Well, yeah, I was actually looking at your schedule for this year, and I mean, I guess you'll start training earlier, like in March or whatever. But
Yeah, in
your
March.
season get going in May?
Yeah, our races start in May to September.
Which is not a lot of time. I counted up. I think you guys have like 50 race days for the entire year.
Yeah,
That's not a whole lot.
so that answers your question why we're kind of looking for help.
Yeah,
You can't
that's not a whole lot.
No, you can't be angry with anyone that decide to go the other way. I mean, as you said, everybody got to look out for the best interest themselves, right?
And I wonder about that. Just having 50 race dates and you having so much time like between uh, mid September until mid May. That's a long time. So I'm pretty sure there's guys that are doing so many different jobs or different things just to make ends meet. That's a
Yeah.
long time in on the prairies unless you're making babies.
But you see, the problem with that is the weather. You don't know what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? Like, this winter was awesome up to now. I mean, like, we been blessed, like, up till like a few days ago. Then we hit this deep freeze that sticking around for a week or so. But I mean, like, who knows? You can't schedule to November or whatever, and then all of a sudden you, like, at the ending of October, middle of October, you end up like in the -30s. You can't run. Like, we were over in Calgary last year, and they had to cancel the last 2 days because the track got so bad and frozen that they just couldn't get it ready for the races. So they had to cancel the last 2 days. So I mean, like, yes, we would like to, like, myself and a lot more guys would like the season to go a little longer, but you can't predict the weather.
Now, speaking of that, so let me ask you a question because these are very important questions. I think. Well, there's just questions just for conversation's sake, and you talk about the track being frozen, the ground being frozen. Is there an opportunity for a synthetic track?
Well, I don't know. Well, I think those things are very expensive, and if you could get, like, I was trying to do, we have two tracks in, we have four tracks in Alberta, one in BC, one in Manitoba. I think there's like six tracks in all, right? And they all finish around, start and finish around basically the same time. I would think. I just speculating. I know you run Sanctuary Mile and then you go to Sanctuary Downs and they just signed us a contract for a few years to do that. But it'd be nice if the guys would come together and figure something out. You know what I mean? And try to make it work for everyone over this side of Canada.
You know what? That would be awesome because look, we love here in Toronto, and people in Ontario or in Toronto would, we ain't got no problems the way how we see the track is at Woodbine. It's pretty cool. It's a really good track.
It is.
Um, a lot of people from out of town love it. But if there was another one out west that was very similar, I'm not sure why the purses are even lower out there because from the time I entered Canada, I always heard it was gold and oil and all that stuff out there. I'm wondering like why
Well,
is there
I don't
not
know
enough
about out there.
money
I live
horse
in
racing
Winnipeg.
out there?
I live in Winnipeg. I don't live in Alberta, so I can't speak for that.
Well, Alberta is like a stone, well, not really a stone throw, but it's
You know,
out west. I'm pretty
no,
sure guys
they have a
can
really
attest.
nice track. My track that they did it has a really nice track. Sanctuary Mile.
Yes.
It's a really nice track.
But you know what, Stephen, your track, Assiniboia Downs, looks really good on TV,
It's,
and to me, that's the key right there is being attractive like that. I'm not sure what it feels like or there, but from a television point of view, it looks really nice.
my track is nice as well. It's a nice
So
track.
for me, I was like, I think that there could be a lot more into the purses out there at least. I mean, say for instance, there was more money put into the track down in Alberta. I'm pretty sure you'll find your way down there. All the good guys will find themselves at that track,
Actually,
Century Downs.
actually
Is it
today,
Century Downs or
Sanctuary Mile. Actually today,
Century Mile?
they have a purse increase. I saw it on Facebook today. They did increase their
Oh,
purses.
nice,
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like a 13, 14 hour drive, and sometimes the conditions don't suit some of the horses. Like, so I mean, like, if you're gonna go there, I go there like when we're finished. I dropped in there a couple times last year with no success, but it's all good. We try again next year. I mean this year, sorry. So we'll see what happens.
Now that you mention it, because I'm glad you cleared it up because you said Century Mile and Century Down. So I know I was getting used to seeing Century Mile, and then I guess it had to be Century Down that started showing, and it looked very like there was some walls and it didn't look
It's a
so
smaller track.
attractive. That's
That's
Century Downs.
Century Downs, yeah. That's in
Oh,
Calgary.
okay. Oh, so I'm glad that you kind of cleared that up. So because I was very confused. I was like, wait a minute, which track is this? Is not the same track, is it? But it was showing Century, and I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yeah, it'd be nice to ship some more horses over there and run between Winnipeg and Alberta and stuff like that. But you see what happened.
Hey, look, yeah, that would be real cool. I'm sitting here with Steven Gaskin. If people happen to be just popping on and watching this because they see Steven but they don't see Gaskin, so I'm here sitting here with trainer Steven Gaskin from down Assiniboia Downs. I always get confused saying that. And we were talking earlier, and we talked about all your trophies which you don't like to brag about or don't even like to display. But I had a glimpse at some of them. They look really really cool. So I just had to mention how cool they look. They look pretty solid, man.
Well, when I win some this year, we I would display those ones on the next show, next interview. Or, yeah.
All right, that's pretty good to hear. That's a whole lot of confidence right there, man. That's pretty cool.
Well,
Like,
the last few years wasn't as good as the previous ones, but that is horse racing, and we were kind of down in stock, and again the help situation. The barn was quite small, smaller than usual, but this year we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty in good condition. So we got some new blood, new horses in the barn, and so kind of confident and happy for this year, this meet.
good, good. It's almost it's like having a loaded gun and ready to fire off, ready to go.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see. Stay tuned. You know, your first stake win was with a horse called Quest Essential.
Quite essential, yeah.
Do you remember that time?
Yeah, I remember that. I was nervous. I was nervous as hell. I was I think that was it my first year? Was it 2016? I think it was my first year as a trainer. Yeah, we claimed that horse for $5,000. I think she was a maiden, I think. We claimed
Yeah,
her
she
for five
was.
thousand. Yeah, she I think she ran second in the race or something like that. And the very next start was the Hills of Right. We actually claimed her with that race in mind because it was a breed race, and some of those races are come up quite easy and fees are small. And she won. I can remember it like she won, and I had to do the interview with Rob, the guy Rob, the announcer, and I said, Rob, please don't ask me too much questions. Just let us make it as simple as possible because it was just like nervous, excited but still nervous, right? So yeah, you know what? I ended up owning that horse, but I think that's the only race she ever won. She broke a
That's
maiden
the,
in the
that's
state.
the that's the funny thing that I was gonna tell you about because the horse ran 19 times, Stephen, and won the only time and it won your first stake race ever.
Yeah,
That's like a gift from the gods saying, "Hey, look, hand me this horse. This horse hand you your first stake win ever as a
that,
trainer."
and that was it. That was it. Like I ended up owning her after. I mean, she was my first state win, and I ended up owning her after I took her home, and I went to her and tried to bring her back, and she just gonna win that second race, even for 5,000 on too. So we ended up, I think we gave her away or we sold her something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, but yeah,
Wow, man,
story of
that
Quest
that's a
Essential.
really cool story. I
Yeah,
thought I would bring that up because I looked at that and I was like, man, you won your first stake race and you won on a horse that ran 19 times and only won one race, and that was a stake race for you.
I had another one like that. What is his name? Riders Quest. Yeah, I owned him with two other guys, and he broke his maiden in a state race, and then you can't find him with a search warrant after that. That was it.
Wow, man.
Again, it was a breed state, Manitoba bred state. So I mean, it's always good to have at least one or two of those Manitoba breds because those races have to go, and you could be the lucky one.
Well, those are always interesting things. I spoke with a trainer last week, and he was saying, jumping into the horse racing game, and you claim two horses, and then you're like, yeah, good to go, and then you sit there and you bite your fingernails, and you can't get a win, and then the win finally comes, right? But this horse racing is something else, man. It really can humble you.
There, I tell you, like this sport, it taught me so much, like the highs and the lows, and if you're not strong, like it could break you. You know what I mean? Like it's so frustrating. You could do everything right, and everything just go wrong. You know what I mean? Like you could send a horse up there with 1 to 5 where the guy said tight to the pole, but so for some reason the pole move and nothing will happen, right? So and we just keep your head up, keep grinding it out, keep fighting, and success will come again. And I think I mentioned to you early on, like I kind of put last year behind me that I wasn't even paying much attention about. I wouldn't say that it's probably the worst year that I had, but it actually wasn't a bad year because like the barn was small. I only won 3 races, but the horses they're competitive. They all ran good. I mean, like we had horses that got knocked down on the gate at the gates. We got horses that got shut off. Like I mean, those could have been wins, but they again bad luck stepped in and that was it. You know,
Yo,
but
what a year, right?
yeah, those horses they show so much potential and they ran their race but just bad luck. So I kind of write it off in the sense that it was we didn't win a whole lot or whatever. We only won 3 races, but the horses tried every time they went out there. So I mean, to me, it was kind of good in a way that they show potential, they try hard, and if not for bad luck, we would have had more wins.
Yo, how many horses did you end up with last year in your barn?
Whoa, I think it was like 8 horses or something. It was a small barn. Like I think we had like probably 8 to 10 or something like that. Yeah, it was not a big. I didn't have a whole lot.
So you won almost half, if it's like eight, because um, the thing when I was speaking with Nigel Burt, he says when if he has like four horses in the barn, his aim is always to win at least one race per horse. So I guess you about kind of like just under 50% for yourself last year.
Yeah, like those horses, like we had a lot of 2 year olds there too, and a couple of them didn't start, and then one he start later in the year, and just to give him some experience. But we had a couple that were still growing up that we threw out and will be back this year. And I kind of have, I mean, they were doing really well, but just like they weren't ready. They were still growing up. Um, Not confirmation wise, the growth plates were still, they weren't closed and stuff like that. So we just didn't take the chance. We just sent them home and I went and visited them a few weeks ago and they looked pretty good. I'm kind of happy with what I saw and with the mentality that these horses had and how they were going, I think it should be all right.
Good, that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. You even had a horse that broke down last year. I mean, you had a
So,
string of bad luck last year, man. Oh my goodness. Last year, 2024. Here we go, man. That's all I can say, right?
I never watched replay for that race. I can't find myself to watch that race, and yeah, I can't watch that race.
Yeah, I hear you. We won't talk about that. We'll move on because there's stuff like that in horse racing that never feels good. Let's talk about some more happy moments. Let's talk about all these state races that you've won in the past. You had a horse called Media Melee. What does this horse mean to you, man?
Oh, he was what was he word? Like Media Millie was special. He was. I had two horses that was special to me back then. And if you did your homework, you would see it was Medium Millie and White So Blue.
That's right. I remember that. Yep. White so blue.
Now, Medium Millie, man, he came to us like he, I think he came up from Phoenix. He was training in Phoenix, and he came to us, and I don't know what his problem, what his issues with or whatever, but he was basically written off. And I started galloping his horse and stuff. And Prince used to look after him. Prince at work in Woodbine, very good groom. Prince looked after him, and I mean, Prince did a lot of work with him as well to get him. He had his issues, and Prince spent a lot of time, and he did a lot of work with him. Prince did all the groom work. I gallop him all the time and train, and I think we won. I think 2 stakes with him first jump out, an overnight stake and some other stake race. And the question to everyone was if this horse could go 2 turns, right? So it came, to make a long story short, it came to a situation where, like, I just used to let him do what he want. If he want to do 1.5 miles out there, he does it. If he asks me for another 0.5 mile, I just give it to him, and he would just take it. You know what I mean? And I came back one morning and said, Prince, these guys underestimating this horse. You know, this horse going to go along. And it so happened that I think we won every single distance at the track with him. We won the mile, the RJ Spears, the free press. We won everything with him for older horses. I think he won older horse of the year here or something like that. Yeah, and he very easy horse to train. Like he just loved his job, which made my job easy.
Always good to have a horse like that, that just makes your job very easy.
Yeah, he loves his job. He loved to train, and he had a heart like out this world. He would fight to the end. He never give up. Never give up. And he wasn't even a big horse. That's the thing.
Well,
yeah.
There was one time I was watching a race that I'll never forget. This is my early times. Well, not early times in age, but early times in actually watching live racing at Woodbine. And there was a horse on a Wednesday night, I'll never forget, trained by Reed Baker. And this horse was a tiny little horse. And I remember just the people around the paddock were just kind of like, kind of making fun a little bit, saying like, this horse looks so tiny. And let me tell you, this horse won by probably like 5 lengths at 1.16 miles. Just demolished the whole field. So
yes, this horse is like
doesn't
that.
have to be.
Medium Millie, he was special, man. He knew when he was racing. Believe me, just knew. You know what I mean? Like, he just knew.
Now, I know I seen here you won the Gold Cup Stakes with that same horse, right?
Yeah.
So that was even special for you.
Yeah, with Kayla Pizarro. Kayla Pizarro, she rode him for me, and it's a funny situation because like I think he had just won the Manitoba Mile, and he won the Manitoba Mile, and I think we ran him in another race, and he kind of eased up by the 3F pole, or the jockey tried to do something or ease him by the 3F pole. Something happened, and the race, the Gold Cup, was 1.1 miles, and I said to the owner, I say, hey, we need somebody that going to just let his horse run his race, and it so happened that Kayla was the perfect candidate, and we sat down and we talked about it, and I mean, we had to change riders, but I like from galloping the horse and stuff like that, I figured that is the type of rider he would need. And so said she rode the horse perfect. I mean, it was an objection on the second place horse, but I don't think she'd make any interference to him. He was just grandstanding, I would say it. But no, Kelly just let him go out there and straight to the lead, and he ran his race. Never give up.
Oh man, it's always good to have horses like that around you. It's always good. And I guess you'll never forget that because the Gold Cup was one of the ones that you had on your bucket list as well, right? You still got the Manitoba Derby.
I need that. I need it.
I know you need that. The last time we spoke, you talked about that. You said like that's on your bucket list.
I need it. I had a horse when we ran last year. I think we ran 4th. We ran either third in the Derby trial or second. I can't recall. I mean, my memory a little bit fuzzy here right now. But anyhow, we got to the Canadian Derby last year. I mean, we were a long shot, but it was exciting to be there. I mean, like it was good. It was a good feeling just having a horse in the Canadian Derby.
How do you feel about that new form, Triple Crown out west Derby thing that is going on? You got the Manitoba Derby, the BC Derby, and the other one, the
Or the
Canadian
Canadian
Derby, I
Derby.
think it is.
Yeah, for that bonus. I think that's a really good thing. Really good incentive to get a better quality horse competing in this part of the world, this neck of the woods.
But I mean, you got to watch out now. You better have a good horse, a good animal, because some of these shippers, or is it restricted? Somebody from Woodbine and places like that might,
Yeah, Woodbine could
you know.
come. Yeah, anybody, any I mean, like anybody could enter. I mean, as long as you have a nice 3-year-old, just there you go. And
But
the
as a
thing is,
trainer, doesn't that make you feel a little bit like worried? Like, you guys, like,
no, not
you,
really. I mean, like you, some people could look at it that way, but I could say it'd be good for racing over here, right? It's a boost for racing here, so it's good. It's a good incentive to have to put all three derbies with a bonus and invite or whoever comes over and go for it. It's always exciting to watch a good horse race. Derek, believe me, with good horses.
yeah, I know. I'll never forget when and this is one of the things I never forget when Funny Side came to Woodbine, and to me, those are the horses that always are always appeal to me. So you like as a fan, you got to be there, right? You gotta be there to see to witness these things. So I'm just
Exactly.
saying, like it pays off
You
big
have
time.
you have good horses. You get some what you would say some big name riders come over this part of the world and ride. I mean, it's good for for all the tracks and like, good for here. It'd be good for Alberta. It'd be good for BC. Just having that caliber of horse and rider show up. You know what I mean? It's good
Now,
exposure.
no, I want to quiz you on that because if you have like a good say like I guess people talk about good horses depending on how much money they make. People talk about good jockeys, how much purse money they make, but having a jockey from say Toronto make the trip over to your area, would that be a big deal or considered a big deal in your parts of the woods? Or having a jockey from the states, which one is bigger?
Well, I can remember years ago, um, we had horses. I think Josie Carroll sang horses here, won the Derby. Mark sang horses here. Mark Cassie sang horses here. He ran second. I think they ran 120 Derby. Simon Husbands came over and he rode. Um, who else? We also had a lot of guys rode the Derby here from down south. I think Theodore, Theodore, he sang horses here all the time. So I mean, like when it comes to trainers that are there, I guess the Derby back then the purses were much bigger. I think it's at that level again, but I mean, like purses are bigger, all got bigger at all the other tracks. So I mean, to come here and run the Derby for take 100 or whatever thousand it is, in Woodman you can run a launch race for that same money. So does it worth it?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's true.
No, but it's always exciting to have like top of the line horses, top of the line riders show the face, and you know what I mean. Is as I said before, it's good for horse racing over here. It's good PR, good. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope that can escalate a little bit and purses increase because we're seeing like Churchill Downs, Kentucky Downs. We're seeing Oak Lawn. Like these purses are getting huge. Um, uh, I just wonder about over here as well. Are we going to see the same thing, or is it going to decrease in some areas? Um, it's quite interesting to see the transition. I think when I spoke with Mark Cassie, I think he kind of mentioned hinted a little bit about that. The purse increase across the border over here is taking a little bit of time to increase as well. Maybe there are a lot of people who are hinting at a lot of different ideas in horse racing.
You see,
So I,
horse racing is bigger in the States than it is here. I would say, right? I would always say that it's way bigger over there. Like it's like everywhere you look around, there's a track in the States,
Mhm.
right? I think throughout the whole Canada, we only have 8 tracks,
Mhm.
and over there, like where they got 88. I don't know. It just it's just calling a number, but I mean, they have so much, and I don't want to get into the details of purses and all of that because I don't have a clue about the ins and outs of what goes on behind the scene with the government fundings and this and that and where they get the money from. But I would always say that I'm happy that we do have races here, even though the purses are smaller than others, and to make a living.
Yeah, definitely. I- I agree with you. I mean, as people on the outside, we definitely are not on the inside, and we
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to tell others how that business works, right?
I don't know, and I don't want to touch it. I don't have a clue.
But
Right?
we can speculate and we can have conversation around it. I mean, geez, conversation is there for the taking. It's free.
No,
You'll be surprised.
to be honest, Derek, it'd be nice to see purses raised and stuff like that across the board, not only here, but the other trucks across and stuff. But there's a lot more into it than just saying, "Oh, we're gonna raise purse money," right? There's a lot of details and a lot of little fine things that goes on behind the scene that we don't, as you said, we don't have a clue to get to this stage. You know what I mean? As I said, like there's some trucks that you don't even know if you're gonna even have a meet.
Yeah, that's
Right? So
true.
I'm very happy that we do have a meet every year. I mean, like there was a time back that we weren't even sure there was a negotiation with the government and a whole bunch of stuff going on, and I guess finally figured something out, and here we are. We're running, so that is good for me.
Yeah, I hear you on that, man, because that's you want to stick to your business, which is horse training, and let the other people deal with what they're dealing with, right?
Correct, and they're doing a pretty good job because, as I said, we're having a meet. So
Look, look, you can't argue with that. They're providing a living for a lot of people, so let's leave it like that.
yeah,
I I, I wonder. I haven't seen it, but maybe it's missed my eyes. But are there any turf tracks out west?
not that I know of.
Why is that? There's some beautiful grounds out there.
Again, there is a question that you have to believe somebody. I, I don't know.
Steven says all he does is
It's
train
okay to
horses.
ask
That's
questions, but
not his thing.
everything costs you just talk about purse money, but everything costs money, right? So as I said, I mean, like there's a lot to go into that, and it costs money.
Yeah, I mean that's just conversation sake. Maybe I'll get a
Yes,
fan on
but
and we could
somebody
talk
was
about.
telling me about there's a place in Alberta that they say is a turf track. I don't know if it was up and running. I don't know what type of races are around there. If it's just like that they put on a fair or something. I can't remember the name of the track or whatever it is, but I think it's just like somebody said is like right there or from Edmonton. I have no clue what's the name of the track, but somebody was telling me that there's a guy that have a turf track over there, but I don't know if he ever had it up and running.
Oh,
So
you know what? There was something I saw out west that, or is it out west or out east? But it was called something turf, and I'm not sure exactly if there's even turf running on there, but it's called something turf, whatever. I can't.
mhm,
If I remember, I'll mention it, but I don't remember.
mhm.
I'll try to my best to remember, man. I'm getting young, so can't remember everything, but I'll try
Yeah,
my best to
yeah,
bring it up.
yeah.
Maybe I'll do a search somewhere. Now, let's talk some more about the racing. Let's talk some more about this year and your potential of doing some really good stuff. And I mean, to be honest, Steven, like right now it's January. First race starts May 20, I think. That's a long time in between races, man. Like for your first race.
Yeah,
Um, so during this off season, like what are you doing?
talking to you.
I love it. I love it.
Speaking to you. No, yeah,
I,
I relax and I have some horses out in the yard, they're back in the field, they're running around and stuff. And that's what I do. I just spend my days looking after the horses and whatever animals that my wife bring home.
wait. She bring home animals? Like, where is she getting
No,
these animals
my,
from?
no, my wife, like, she love animals. Like, she just love animals. She has some goats out there running around, keeping a lot of noise every now and again, and that's just her thing. She just love animals.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
One of the jockeys, I think she told me she had a miniature horse and a pig. Somebody had a pig. I think it was Amanda Vandermeersch. Was it Amanda? Somebody had a pig or
I had them
something.
too. I had them too, but those they went to the butcher. They're in my freezer right now.
Oh my God! You gotta keep your pets in your freezer.
That was not a pet. That the plan was to butcher those ones. Come on, man.
Oh man.
Things getting expensive in this world, man. Meat and stuff getting expensive, so you gotta, and you don't know the chemicals and all that stuff they're putting into it. So it's best to just raise your own.
I hear Ian on that. He's telling me that before a good race horse, a jockey will be nothing. Now I'm not sure if he's hinting at someone or he's throwing blows at someone. You never know with
Exactly.
guys, right? Ian's my man, but sometimes people be tossing little jabs at people, saying before the good horse, the jockey will be nothing.
Well, you could look at that from a million different ways, right? But you could also look at it the opposite way, because some jockeys take horses that people think don't have a chance and get them to the pole. So it,
Well, I mean, you're right there too, because I remember one time, Stephen, and we're having conversations. Say, I'm just talking to. So one day I'll say the great Steven Gaskin. Maybe
that was
some
never
years from
great.
now,
That
I
was
I
never
will
great.
be. I'll be very privileged to say that. I'm very happy to say the great Steven Gaskin.
That's just a
And
Steven Gaskin. You leave out the great part.
look,
Steven
man,
Gaskin is good enough for me.
as a human being, we all want to be great at something or some at least, right?
We just take it as it comes. We don't know. Just take it as it comes.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I
As
I, I hear
you're
you.
right. Everybody would like to be great. Everybody would like to be a champion trainer. Everybody would like to be a champion jockey. Everybody would like to be a champion of something. But at the end of the day, we all can't be champions. We just do what we need to do and hope for the best, and you know what I mean, and just be grateful for how it works out.
Now, the reason why I say that, Stephen, is because, um, and put it this way, um, you started officially training in 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is 7 years ago, going into 8 years, right?
Something yeah.
And already as a trainer, I mean, the purses ain't huge over there, but you've won like 17 state races or something already.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool. That's pretty good in your parts of the woods, man. And I mean, you're still young. I mean, that's pretty good. So that's the reason why I say maybe one day I can say the great the great
Need,
Steven Gaskin.
need to start winning more.
Every great trainer thinks like that. You
Need to
know,
start winning more.
you think that you're done, and you say no, I'm not done. I'm just about to get started. So
Hey,
so I
I
completely
still,
understand.
I won't say that I done. There's still a lot of years there left, and And the older you get, the wiser you're supposed to get. I mean, you see things, you learn things, and I'm the type of guy that I'm always reading and checking up on stuff and trying to do what's best for my career and for the horses and everything. Right. So there's only one way up now, and that's up. It's only up from now.
I I agree. I mean, in life in general, going up is always a good thing. Going down, that's something completely different.
Well,
Um,
we done right now. 2023, we were right down. So it's only up now.
yeah, yeah, you had an interesting run. Between I guess the pandemic kind of messed with it with things a little bit. I would have to say that. So you know, it's an opportunity right now to rebound for a lot of people, not only yourself but many other people.
One of the beauty things about it, like even with the pandemic, like it gave me that opportunity to be a lot more hands-on, a lot more hands-on, and just being hands-on, and as I said, reading and researching and doing a lot of stuff. It kind of put a lot of confidence in me, a lot more confidence in me, right? So I figured, as I said, the only place now is up.
I got you, got you. Um, I was going to ask you something, and you got me like you got so. It's almost like I was talking to a professor, and I just got so glued into what you were saying that I completely forgot what I was about to ask you. But it'll come back. He'll come back for sure. Oh yeah, no, here we go. So you had a couple horses for Darwin Clark last year, right?
Hmm.
I was just wondering how important is that relationship with him and what he's doing with horse racing for you and your program.
Well, we had two horses here for Darwin, and unfortunately, one, what happened to him. He had an incident and whatever. But the other one, he's supposed to be coming back this year. Other boy Cookie, yeah, he'll be back this year. He's on the farm down south, just having a break, relaxing. And we have a mirror here as well. And I mean, like, yeah, basically that's it. I don't know if I should get into details with it or whatever, but I mean,
No, I
like,
mean I'm not entirely up to you. I'm just asking questions. You
I
can.
mean, our relationship is proper, man. Like we speak on the phone at least. If it's not every week, every couple of weeks or whatever, we're still in conversation with one another. We keep in touch. We shoot the shit, talk, what's going on, how you doing, stuff like that. You know.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I want to ask you, even leaving that a little bit off a little bit, and talk a little bit about syndicates. And I wanted to quiz you. You being a trainer, you manage a business, and uh, syndicates in general for a business.
I lose you there, Derek. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I was messing with the mic, and I kind of muted it a little bit. That's my hands are very fidgety sometimes. You know, I should get myself checked because sometimes I can't keep still. Um, um, I want to ask you about syndicates, and we saw that horse in the Kentucky Derby one, and it was a big syndicate involving in that with that horse. Is that something that for you see as an asset or as a good thing for your business, or doesn't do good for your business? What's your thoughts on having a big syndicate like that?
Oh, a lot of times when you have a big syndicate like that, there's always a one person up front, one or two people who's on the front line, right? Who you deal with. So I don't see if it would be a problem. You know what I mean? Are you still there, Derek?
Yeah, I'm still here. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, no, we could hear you again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted, yeah, one of the viewers mentioned the turf club, Mountain Turf Club. Exactly, that's the one I was referring to. But I don't know if there's actually if there's turf or not. But I just see
One
it
thing,
pop up every now and then.
I'm not sure.
Do you know anything about this?
I know. I thought the guy that owned that place, I'm more sure I saw him brought some horses to Winnipeg one time, running under the same Rocky Mountain Turf Club name. So I think if I stand corrected, I think that guy. I mean, I don't know. And there's other those tracks out further out, like Left Bridge and Grand Pierre. I don't know if that is all the same connection or whatever, but I don't think Rocky Mountain Turf is the actual track.
Hmm.
Not sure.
Well,
I
I
think that
mean,
the name that I heard wasn't of the track wasn't Rocky Mountain Turf. It had a different name. I just can't remember what it was.
it's not a big in terms of purses, it really is not that appealing. But it's just an option. I would figure for maybe the community or something. It probably works well, helps some people out here and there, probably.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I don't see it, purses as a place where it would be appealing to
The track,
trainers,
yeah.
right?
I mean, they're most like a more community, like people in that area that would run there.
Okay. But let's get back to the syndicate thing. So what's your thoughts on the syndicate? Say for instance, um, oh, someone else say something else too. I think Ian just want to mention it before we forget, and that was Evergreen. You familiar with that one as well?
Maybe that's the one. I don't know. I never heard of that one.
I think I've seen this somewhere. I may have seen that somewhere before.
I can't remember the name. I know someone was going to take me there a couple of years ago. I was in Calgary, Edmonton, sorry. They were going to take me there to check it out, and I never got the chance to go.
Well,
I think it's an hour away from Edmonton.
now I definitely need to get this point in. And we're talking about the syndicate. So is this something that you would entertain? This is just a question, one for the clouds. And if you had a syndicate, well, not you, but if someone bring a really nice horse to you and they had like maybe, I don't know, 60 people involved in it, who doesn't really care about winning money right now? They just put like $200 or whatever together, and you got all these people and they put together and they got a nice horse and say, hey, look, Steven, uh, train this horse and let's win some allowance races and some state races in Winnipeg. What would be your thoughts on that?
I said, bring it. I said, bring it.
I like that. I like that. Because I mean, for what I'm thinking is, you got X amount of people who got like $200 in a horse. You got all these people who, I mean, people blow $200 just like that every day. So that, I mean, that to me sounds like something to do, something that somebody else can watch from a distance and say, "Hey, look at the horse run, win
We
again."
we have one of those here. It called Art Assiniboia Racing Club. I think they're more than probably like 60 people in that club. And one guy he organizes it and stuff, and he's the go-to man. Like he look for the horses and he does all the what I mean paperwork and all that stuff, and he get all these people involved and when that horse do win, like there's no room for the horse in the for the picture. There's so many people there. It's unreal, right? But it's kind of exciting. I mean, it gives those guys something to look forward to, as you said, even a small owner, even a share in a horse or part of a share, or whatever. It kind of, and some of those guys might even branch out and say, hey, you know what? Let's form a smaller syndicate and get a couple of horses of our own, and then that could help increase the population. So it kind of work. It would work for racing if you invite that crowd on a smaller scale of ownership, and then they decide to like it so much, and then invest a little bit more and branch out, then you got from one syndicate, you might end up with two or three, maybe four. You know what I mean? Just having those guys involved. So,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Because I'm thinking as a fan, and there's a lot more people like me who probably want to get involved and have something to cheer for. Don't necessarily want to get into it completely for winning money, and don't want to invest too much into it because of that reason, right? But if you have that amount of people who are involved, I'm not sure if everyone is going to think like that because, obviously with egos involved and so forth, it might be a little tough. But there's people out there with similar minds, and I'm pretty sure there's some people who can get together and make it happen. I mean, if you're having the purses where you at, where the biggest purse is $100,000, I'm pretty sure there's a couple state races that are probably like $30,000 and so forth that can be had. Just a matter of getting the right horse and making it happen, right? So it's just something to put out there. You put things out there in the universe, and sometimes it happens. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Now, let's talk a little bit about horse racing and jockeys. Who's the hot jockey in your part of the woods now? I see. Who won the jockey's title at your
Whitehall,
track?
Antonio Whitehall.
Antonio Whitehall,
Yeah.
another Barbadian guy.
Yep.
Man, he did he win it last year? The year before too, in 2022.
I think so. I think was it 2022 when he was riding at both tracks and he surpassed. I think he won it here and he ran maybe third or so in Alberta. I'm not sure, but I think there was one year where he was riding up when maybe COVID was going on and he was riding both tracks, and I think between both tracks he won over 100 races or something like that.
Hey, that's pretty cool, man. That would be really cool if.
Or it
Well, I
was a
don't know
year,
what it's like. Pardon?
or maybe it was a year before.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like, but you're talking about those jockeys who are starting to do relatively okay, from Barbados, and if those jockeys can find themselves on some mounts in Barbados, I wonder if that would be appealing for the big race coming up in March, having those guys shipped out of Barbados and doing relatively well and coming back home and getting some mounts.
It's always good. It's always good that when guys riding off America to go back home and showcase their talent, what they learn and stuff like that. Um, and some of the guys that is in Barbados that never had the opportunity, they kind of look up to those guys and they kind of to learn, right? And watch those guys and see how they ride and improve, because those guys in Barbados are riding like twice a month, sometimes once a month. Where you have when guys coming off America and are riding three days a week. They're getting on more horses and riding more races. They're riding improve a lot, and so when they go home, it's just like a natural, and it's all from my point of view. When I was back there and some of the guys come back home to ride, I was kind of excited to see them ride, and I figured that these young kids here now would feel the same way, right? Because those are the
Yeah.
guys that you look up, you're supposed to look up to.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching guys on TV, that's usually the first indication, right? You're at home and you're seeing guys that were your neighbor or something, and now they're on television, riding races, and people are calling their names and so forth. I think that's pretty exciting for
Those
young jockeys.
look at Rocco. A few days was it? Yes, a couple of days ago. It was yesterday. Was it at Oakland?
Hmm.
Yeah, and I saw Kent Lane posted it and stuff, and he showed. I think it was just down the lane. I don't think he showed the full race or whatever, but it was still even me. It was exciting for me to see that how good he's doing over there. I mean, any
Yeah,
major
well,
rider or trainer or whatever. I mean, wants to win or they do good. I'm on it. I am very excited and happy for them. I mean,
Well, it's still a struggle. He won one race for the year. Lucky number 13 after 13 days of the year.
start
That's right. But
on
um,
his.
but that's a start, and um, it's always a struggle. But the relationships in horse racing is always interesting for me. I'm watching it as it play out, and I always wonder about the relationships, and I mean, like for you yourself, the successful people in horse racing, you guys all figure out how to build relationships, and that's a key. That's the most important thing. You can't create enemies. You always got to maintain relationships, even though sometimes they don't always last, right? They don't
That's what,
always.
agree to disagree. Everybody ain't gonna see, I mean, everything they see in here, but you just push it outside and deal with it.
Yeah, end of the day is all business. You got to go on. Sometimes it doesn't work at that moment, but it could work another time.
Yeah.
See it happen all the time, man, all the time. Do you have a strong bond with any jockeys over there right now currently?
I get along with everyone. I try to get along with everyone, but bond wise, I won't quite say that. I more or less stick to myself in a certain way. You know what I mean? But I kind of get along with everyone outside of that little bubble that I kind of keep myself in.
Well, as a trainer, I don't think you can be buddy buddy with everybody, but in business, you know.
No, but I give them all the respect and deserve because I mean respect is always due no matter what, right? So yeah, I mean all the guys we get along pretty good, all the writers and stuff.
Cool. Now we've had a few people bounce and came from, and we talked about this at some point with Fraser Abley. You got a chance to see him right down there, and we were talking off air how he has improved since we first saw him. I mean, for me, he's improved tremendously.
It was like a totally different writer, believe me. When I saw the guy at Woodbine, is especially latter stages over there, and he was just getting everything to the wire, almost everything. Sorry, but he was more polished. Like from seeing him here, we, he was writing here off and on, and you could see he have talent. But once he got over there, it was like a different level. Right, he just went up. And I don't
Pretty
know if
sure he'll be.
I don't know if because he was riding better horses or more races or whatever, but he like saw him over there. When I saw him, like it was like a totally different rider.
Well, as Ian said, the horse actually makes you could do that for you as well. But definitely, I mean, he was on a few long shots. I think he was at one time he won on a 68-1 horse or something like that, I believe. And
Moved a lot.
I'm just saying, like, is a big difference. Like, also studying on Rocco Boyne, he pointed out to me, like, you know, studying, looking at the form or whatever, and just figuring out, what you think would work best for the horse. And for a trainer like yourself, I wonder about this because a lot of times guys say they don't tell jockeys how to ride a race. Is that the same for you?
I prefer not to. And the reason for that, once those gates open, it could go in any direction. Right?
And I guess you being a jockey, you was a jockey at one point, so I guess you would have that understanding to know. Listen, jockeys don't want people telling them how to ride a race. Or is that not fair? Is that fair or not fair?
As I said, how I want to put it, I prefer not to say anything, like tell jockeys anything, because once those gates open, like you could tell a jockey go to the lead horse, Misty Brick. Like things change, you know what I mean? Like you don't want a jockey go out there studying so much in the head and then lose focus on winning the race or whatever.
But can you give them a tip? Can you tell them here's the racing form. This is the horse. Look at the past performance. I'm not telling you how to ride a race, but look at it.
But
Can you,
but
can you
I don't have to do that. Good jockeys normally do that on their own. right? They do their homework. Good jockeys do their homework. Once they know who they're riding and whatever they check the racing form. They do their homework. I know what they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to be. If they're going to send, they're going to be aggressive, whatever. So just good luck. You know what I mean?
Because
That's it.
I always wonder about that because I sometimes I quiz like I'll talk to jockeys and I'll just kind of hint at them. Does trainers tell you how to ride a race? And if you don't win the race, do they ever get mad at you? You know, like how do you handle it? Because if a trainer don't tell you how to ride a race, how can they get mad at you if you didn't win the race? Is that some kind of logic, or or am I barking up the wrong tree here?
Not really, but there, riders always, well, they should always do their homework, right? I know, like the kid there, Deshaun Gaskin, he was out west, and that kid, this was his first year over here. Last year was his first year to Canada, and he would always watch over races for the horses with the horses that he's riding, right? And that's a start. Like he did his homework.
Hmm.
Riders here, like there's a kid here, what's his name? Sven Baru. He does his homework. I mean, like everybody, most writers that I know, they normally like do their homework. They once those entries comes out, a lot of guys watch over races. Some just read the form, and some of them even ride horses in the race. I mean, against horses that they've ridden before, and they know where they're supposed to be. Like if they want to be on the lead, if they want to sit close, come off the pace, whatever. Normally they're talented, so I mean, you don't need to tell them anything.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a race, and
Yeah.
you want to get to the finishing line first. So jockeys will figure out
Yeah,
how to win the race.
yeah.
That's fair enough. Okay, time to move on. I think I tried there to see if I can get something out of Steven about jockeys and riding races and so forth. But we'll move on.
You gotta understand there's a lot of good jockeys out there, and all jockeys have the ability to win races. So,
And that's not true. I mean, have an ability, but there's some jockeys that just can't seem to win one race.
well, maybe they ain't got the material to do it. Go back to your guy's statement. Sometimes you need the
That's true.
material.
And you know, it's funny because I always wonder about that because I agree. No, I'll take back my word because yes, without the horse, or with a good horse, jockeys may not be able to win a race. I agree 100%. But the thing is getting the that's to me that's the real word is getting the good horse. What are you doing to get the good horse? uh I sometimes you can hinder yourself. I'm not sure how, but depends because again race world is real funny. You know, some people have relationships that last forever, and some people just can't seem to break through, you know, in those relationships. So it's a funny business in the race world.
Sometimes you just have to be the right place at the right time. And like I see guys I saw before guys got the break from sitting in the jock's room, and somebody had to buck off or whatever, and got the ride and they won, and then from there they start getting more rides because people they showcase their ability to do it, and people start saying, well, maybe we should give this guy some more rides or opportunity to win more races or whatever. But is like again, everybody can be champions, but everybody, all jockeys have the ability to win races.
I agree. Is there one jockey that you're a fan of that you would say is always to me very funny? You guys are like diplomats. You know, you
Not
guys.
really. You was asking me a question there, but I when you said jockeys, you mean like Caribbean
Just
riders,
anyone.
international, whatever.
It doesn't matter. I'm talking about local jockeys.
Local,
I
right?
met some jockeys out in BC. That were like some local stars. They what was his name? Amadia. He's this guy who wins so many races. Antonio Reyes. They won like these guys can win 5 races in one day.
Yeah.
Um, they just do it very easily. Like and the little kids are like cheering for these guys every time they go on the track, stuff like that. And to me, it was very interesting and it was good to see because even for smaller tracks, there's always stars that emerge from out of the tracks. I mean, that's what they get into it for. And in every sport, is always stars. So it's always nice to see. I also saw it when I went down to Ohio, that Thistledown, and I saw it with some of the jockeys down there too, and the small amount of crowds that were there and so forth. So that's what I really meant.
No, I have quite a list. I mean, like, and I keep knocking on the locals. You know what I mean? Like, you have PH, you got Rico, you got Rocco. Like, you got some guys that you give them the material and they will rub shoulders with some of the best as far as I'm concerned, right? And again, they need the material to do it. So, like, what Patrick did was outstanding. Like, Patrick, like, he kind of put those guys on the map as a writer. Like, he surpassed a lot of I would say records or whatever you want to put it, but he did really, really good for himself, and he's still doing good for himself. 76 races and all of that at Woodbine. Then you have Rico that he won championship after championship in Alberta. He won the Canadian Derby quite a few times. He won other derbies. Then you have Rocco, who's doing pretty good in the States for himself. You have Jalon, who's a very good writer too. I haven't seen him. I heard he was in Toronto. I don't even know where he is, but I mean, like, it'd be nice to see him writing again. And then when you go back to Barbados, there, you have Rashid. He's been in all these championships, but you can't take anything away from Ricky. Ricky just make it look so easy. He's smooth, like Ricky Walker. He's a very, very good writer too. So I mean, like, those guys, you put them on the stage, they will rub shoulders with and the horse. Like, they will do pretty good. So I
Uh,
kind of admire all those guys. Believe me, I watch Barbados racing whenever they're running. I sit down here and I watch them on the television there, and like, it's so impressive. Like, when some of the rides that these guys put on. I see Trotman put on a nice ride last time on a horse that people thought didn't even have a chance. Went to the lead and make every yard and make it look so easy. Like, that's the Trotman that I knew like probably 10, 15 years ago. And
hmm.
so it's really good to see the guys riding back home and doing their thing, and then it's even more exciting to see the guys flying the flag up here in North America. So
Now, is the jockey Gaskin, Deshaun, is he related to you?
a million people ask me that question, and I did some homework, and it's down the line. It's not direct. Like, there's not a whole lot of Gaskins in Barbados, and once I did the homework, there's some sort of relationship down the line, a relative of a relative, and so there's something there.
At the end of the day, do you want to be known as a Barbadian trainer or a Canadian trainer or just a trainer in general?
Well, I was born in Barbados, and I will always be a Barbadian. I always be a Bajan. So whatever you put it, or anyway, even if I go somewhere and be successful, they're always going to say the Bajan trainer that trains in Canada, right? And like, even you yourself, you wouldn't say Canadian Steven Gaskin. You say Bajan Steven Gaskin because like any day, that is where my roots are, right? Or just call
Well,
me a trainer in general, trainer Steven Gaskin. That works too.
uh, I say son of Barbados, but definitely I acknowledge you
We're
as
all sons of Barbados, and there's sons of Barbados, there's daughters of Barbados doing the thing. Like Rihanna, she's a daughter of Barbados.
that's right, that's right, that's right. Well, that's the one that catches most attention. So I roll with that, and that seems to work. You're doing an awesome job. I'm pretty sure you're looking forward to 2024 just like I am. Um, this year, I think it's going to be a good year. I think it'll be. I think things are on the improve. I'm seeing a lot of improvements everywhere. Um, everywhere possible that I've looked, I'm seeing improvements. I'm not sure if horse racing is getting a little bit more attention now, or maybe a little bit more hype or something. But I'm seeing a lot of improvements. Are you seeing the same things?
Yeah, the thing is, you need a lot of young people getting involved, and even here at this track, there's a group of youngsters that, I mean, they're very deep into it right now. Their parents were they're still owners, and these guys came around and they just have the bug and the need for horse racing. They're just in it real deep, and that's what you need. You need young people coming around and invest into the sport, and then that would give the the clubs and different people out there to do the marketing and put more into it to get more people involved.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So where you see where the purse is raising is to attract. I mean, like, attract trainers from different tracks. What do you call it? Some people, some tracks even trying to port trainers from other tracks for some reason. But I mean, everybody's on a competitive level and incentives and purse raising and all that different stuff. So
Does that happen in your parts as well? Like
I
people
mean,
trying to.
it's their job. It's the racing secretary jobs to get out there to um, get trainers to come and compete at their tracks.
Yeah.
It's their job. Like they got to sell the product, right? And to get the population up, which should
No,
be
I agree.
good for
I
betting and
agree.
stuff like that, right?
I mean, I see like Steve Asmussen, who's probably the trainer of the most wins probably ever now, and I see him got he has horses at places like Remington and those tracks that purses are sometimes are very tiny compared to some other places.
Yeah,
So
you have to extend the olive branch and an invitation to everyone. More horses is better. The population at any track is good for racing. It's not good to see 4 and 5 horse fields, 7 races. No, you need bigger fees. It's good for betting. It's good for everything. You know what I mean? I mean, like, you have a colony of, say, 15 riders, and you're going out there with small fields. What the other riders doing? They're going to starve, right?
right,
So you need to have. You can't say, okay, we only have, say, just as a reference, say 300 horses or 400 horses. We can only bring, say, 10 riders. No, you can't. You need to bring more riders. You got to guarantee that these guys, everybody could eat, right? So more horses is always better.
yeah, yep. On that note, we're gonna leave that there. And is there anything else you want to put out there in the universe? Because I like this thing. You put things out in the universe, and to be honest, it'll come around. It'll find its way to you, man.
But we don't put that in universe. I want to touch a little topic. Is a very delicate topic, and
Yeah,
I
go
probably
ahead.
need to get some backlash on it. I was reading something on Facebook with a writer in Barbados where there's a lot of guys criticizing him and all that over nothing, as far as I'm concerned. But I just want to tell him, just ignore people, man. Just keep your head up and continue doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? And those guys that were criticizing you, guarantee you they still got $10 or $20 on every horse you go there on. So don't worry about them. Just right. Keep your head up, go out there, do your job, and keep in the races.
Now, I mean, like knowing me, I'm the kind of person that I am. You put something like that out there, Stephen. I'm gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna poke a
No.
little bit. The old me, the old Derek would be very tricky with this and be asking so much questions that I'll be poking at it because I know exactly where you're going with this. Um, but yeah, I'll leave it like that. You just want to send a message to the jockey. Just keep doing your thing and keep your head up, right?
Not the only thing to all jockeys, like that is the thing that been going on for years and it will never change at home. I mean, like that's what the punters do. We call it turf fights, or whatever you want to call it. Like that is their guys, that is those guys' thing. They're going to do it regardless, right? You come in 5 out of 6, and right out 6 race bad, you're going to get pressure. So just ignore and just continue doing your thing, you know.
But in these times, especially with social media era, uh, it's going to be very difficult because young people cannot go for 5 minutes without their phones, so they have to look. If there's something there, they have to see. They have to see what's going on. They're not going to leave it alone. So
Michael,
that's going to be very difficult for young riders to do, man.
I can understand where he was coming from, because again, I know you mentioned the social media part. He probably was worrying about if there's somebody on the outside looking in and just basing his talent off of the statements being made instead of actual seeing, right? Which is understanding why he step up and try to defend himself, which is good. I mean, like, kudos to him. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But I would just leave it and just continue doing my thing, right? Let my talent speak for itself.
Yeah. Well, if I was a jockey, I probably would not even, um, I would not probably entertain questions like that, because you start digging a hole, right? You start digging a hole, and that hole can get deeper and deeper. But anyways, I'm not a jockey, and I
I mean,
guess every man has his
he
has his
can write.
pride, you
He's
know.
talented.
So
He can write, and there's no doubts about it. So I wouldn't even worry. I mean, about what nobody say.
yeah.
Right? He put on some good rides, and he can continue. You know what I mean?
Right. I
Great.
think I think the talent shines over everything else, and people usually see that. People don't buy into nonsense. People know what they're dealing with, right? But but I see your point. Sometimes you could get written off because of careless statements and so forth.
Correct.
Depends on who's making them, though. Depends on who's making those statements. You know, if
Lovely.
someone credible in making those statements, people may buy into it, or someone with a loud voice, that could happen very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but other than that, that is it. I mean, I just looking on the outside, and I read the comments about a lot of things posted and stuff like that, and all I can basically do is just shake my head, and I prefer not to ever comment, because I probably might get cussed too. But right, but I prefer not to comment, but I just shake my head, and I think a lot more could be done to prevent some of these
Well,
statements.
we'll leave it like that.
Mm.
Stephen, I want to wish you the best this year in 2024. I hope that you get a chance to get a shot at the Manitoba Derby. I'm not sure if you have the weapon, but I hope that you get a shot to go at it.
Thank you, appreciate it, man. But we might actually have the weapon already.
Well, I'm pretty sure one day you'll make that announcement, and we'll probably see in the records. Should we wait and see, or will you be planning on making an announcement if that ever comes around?
Well, we still have a long way to go. Still a long way to go. I have a horse in mind, and and until he show me it out there, what I want to see, like really, really see, I just keep it to myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
uh, we'll leave it like that. Um, Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for coming on, man. It's been awesome talking to you.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you have yourself a blessed night, man.
Thank you, man. Same to you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, cool.
Steven Gaskin, trainer out west, doing a phenomenal job. Always a pleasure talking to him. We actually have some conversation, and it's really good. But I know he's doing his trainer's thing, which is to be very diplomatic. Until next time, man. We'll do this again. Who do we have next show? I have to look at the schedule. So until next time, peace, man.